Alright guys, today we're going to go over how to set up and install our own Discord bot on a Raspberry Pi and host it ourselves that'll play music and do a bunch of other commands. And we're going to begin from scratch. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Where music I'm picking here is Red-cogs or Red Discord bot. I like it because you have a huge array of commands here. Since we'll be running this ourselves, of course, we're going to go over how to install and set up Raspbian and all that, which is going to be fun. But if you're using this as a actual server that's going to be on 24/7, or at least that's the hope, I would recommend getting yourself a case, protect your Pi, obviously, a decent SD card. These Kingston ones, I haven't had them corrupted, but they've been very bloody slow. Get yourself a. Why do I have this set to? I don't know why. Get yourself a Samsung or something. Get yourself something decent. If you're sitting there with something you got off from eBay for €1 for a 32 gig SD, throw it in the bin. You're wasting your time. Get yourself something decent. Obviously, you need a Raspberry Pi. Do power it well. There is the official adapter, which I don't like the power cord for, but great option. You can also just I use these. They're fine. I haven't had trouble with them. Don't recommend some cheapo one that you got again on eBay or in a pawn shop. Don't bother. Throw them in the bin. Get yourself something half decent. And when it comes to USB cables to go from the charger to the Pi, again, you'd want a good rated cable. Well, cable rated for the 2 amps. Odds are the thing isn't going to draw 2 amps. It probably isn't even going to draw more than 1 after setup. But yeah. There's these anchors. They're pretty nicely built, and I use these TechNets. I like them. I haven't had any trouble with them whatsoever. Do recommend getting yourself heatsink. Be careful, because some of these literally just have double-sided tape, and that's not going to do you many favors. Yeah, some of these from cheapo ones, these cheapo copper or aluminum, they do have just double-sided tape. Very annoying. Yeah, yeah, 30 pieces of total for €1. Yeah, that's just double-sided tape, dude. Don't bother. If you can, get something good like this by people who actually know what they're doing. And again, another example of what you don't really want. So, okay, so gone over what you need hardware-wise. Let's go over what you need software-wise. Get yourself a copy of Etcher, and if you don't like Etcher for whatever reason, get yourself Win32 Disk Imager. Remote NG, so because it's much easier to sign in via SSH with Remote, because you can set it to remember your password and just double click and you're very handy. Putty, also useful if you don't want Remote. Real VNC, we'll be using this. The SD memory card formatter, yeah, it's highly recommended that you don't use the built-in Windows one. I don't fully understand why, but this is handy if you're reformatting an old SD card that you've used either in an old camera or in a Raspberry Pi before, because it just recovers all the memory space. And so now what we're going to do is download our Raspbian. So just click download zip. Output will pop this. I have it here if you haven't noticed. Just to save time. So I'll just download that. And once it's downloaded, what we got to do is pop in our SD card. I have mine plugged in here. I'm using a Samsung 16 gig something or another. Samsung Evo. That's it. So we're going to launch Etcher. And then we're going to launch SD card formatter. And Itcher's taking a while to appear. So again, you want to format it, just make sure you're using all the space, because this is pretty handy. You really do want to make sure you're using all the space that's there, especially in my case, a 16 gig. You can, I can't remember how little it needs Raspbian off the top of my head. I remember once upon a time it was 4. I don't know if it's still 4. So as you can see, we have this formatted all out in a 16 gig card, so it doesn't need formatting, but we'll format it anyway. Point it to the correct SD card, make sure this is pointed up correctly. You point your correct drive so you're not accidentally formatting a hard drive. Format, okay. It'll format. This is real time. Couldn't scan drives, permission error. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna hope that came from Itcher. And there it is. Hopefully, yeah, it's fine. So now we're going to burn our image. Select our image. Point to the desktop. Sorry. Okay, and there's a bit of a storm behind me, so sorry if you can hear it. Generic flash drive, found it already. So now we just click flash. And we wait. Okay, wow, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. Okay. Moving on to the next step. It's dismounted, okay. Plug it out, plug it back in. Plug it out. USB. Line up, please. Yeah, USBs, come on. There we go. And here we go. Here's our boot. Yeah, here's our boot directory of the SD we just flashed. Bigger, please. So what we're going to do is make a file. We're going to make, yeah, that'll do. Just make any file, really. What we're going to call it is SSH. Now, what we need to do is turn on the file extensions. So Windows 7, you go Organize, Folder, and Search Options, View, and then we go Hide Extensions for known file types. Apply. Okay, and so here we go, SSH, and we're going to remove the extension. Yes, and there it is. What that's going to allow us to do is, by default nowadays, the SSH server on the Raspberry Pi is turned off for security reasons. We're going to turn that on with this. And we also have to go into config.txt. I'm just going to use this. Config.txt. What we're going to do is edit our frame buffer. So we're going to set our resolution in here. By default, in here is 720p. So we're going to uncomment the frame buffers. And we set the resolution to whatever you like. I like 1600 by 900. You can set that to 1080p. You can leave it at 720. Up to you. Save. You can take this opportunity to overclock if you really wanted to. Don't recommend it unless you know what you're doing, but yeah, we just edit your frame buffer so we can VNC in properly without getting a 800 by 600 screen. So now that's done, we take it out. So we take our SD, and I'm plugging it in very gingerly into my Raspberry Pi. I'm using the Pi 3. You can use the Pi 2. Do not use the Pi 1. Doesn't work with the audio. And it's also incredibly slow. Power up our Raspberry Pi. Make sure it's connected to our network. I'm using an Ethernet. If you're using Wi-Fi, Don't bother doing this headless, just plug in the HDMI and USBs, just set up the Wi-Fi that way. But I don't recommend using the Wi-Fi. Just use Ethernet. Get that all set up safely. There we go. Now we're booting. So he's literally just sitting there looking at me right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use mremote. There we go. So what we're going to do is go File, New Connection, and we're going to call our connection. What we're going to call our connection? What will we call it? We will call it Discord bot pi. Yeah. Discord bot pi. Under general panel, that'll do. And we have to use SSH v2. And under hostname and IP, if you only have one Raspberry Pi on the network, you can enter Raspberry Pi.local. And that'll resolve with the DNS of your router. If you have multiple Raspberry Pis on your network, you're going to have to find the IP. So we're going to use our username Pi and the password of Raspberry. And that's all we have to do. So now we double click. Host does not exist. This is a first. Okay. For some reason, Raspberry Pi.local was not working. So I went and got an angry IP scanner. Just quickly scan the network. There it is. There's the IP address of our Raspberry Pi. So we're just going to use that instead. What happened? I don't know. It should work. Worked fine for me on Windows 10. Apparently it doesn't like it on Windows 7. So that's something to bear in mind, I suppose. So I'm going to save that. Double click. Enter. Well, you know, it magically works. So here we are. SSH. So this is our security warning. SSH is enabled by default, and the default password of Pi has not been changed. This is a security risk. Please log in as Pi and type password to set new password. We'll do that later. But for now, what we're going to do is clone in our this GitHub we need. I set this one up. It's just gonna make our life a lot easier. Copy, paste, enter. There it is. That's that done. So now we have to run sudo raspi-config, and to me that is a dash. It won't work unless I spelled Raspi correctly. There we go. So just quickly update. So now what we're going to do is turn on our VNC. We're interfacing options, VNC, enable, done. And we're also going to go into our network, host name, and we're going to set ourselves a different host name, something unique on the network. I'm going to use Discord .pi and enter. So now we're going to click finish. It's going to ask us if we'd like to reboot. Just click yes. There we go. So we're back at mremote.ng. So we're going to have to edit our connection. Where's the little thing? Config. There we go. Discord bot.pi, and under host name, we should be able to enter Discord bot.pi.local. We should be able to enter that and have the thing work. No, it does not like. Okay, this seems to be a thing with 7. It doesn't seem to like this, so we're going to have to use our IP address. That's rather annoying. I actually did not know that. So here, yeah, if the thing worked as it should, we should be able to just enter our new host name .local in here and save, and off we go. But apparently he doesn't want to do that for us today. So, yeah, that's annoying. Let's get on with this. So we're going to log in via VNC and take over from there. So VNC viewer. Yeah, okay, got it. Bug off, please. New connection. We're going to call it 192.168.1.18. Your IP will be different. Again, I just use Angry IP. I found it that way. Like if I start it again, it'll come up under 1.18. It'll probably even come up with Discord. Yeah, there it is. Discord.py. .local, just to annoy me. Okay. .py. And we're going to just, yeah, that's all we have to do here. Click OK. Double click to start it. Continue. And it's going to ask us for a login, so we're going to do a pi. And a Raspberry. And we're in. Isn't that nice now? Because I don't use Bluetooth, going to turn it off. Because as I'm not using Wi-Fi, I'm also going to turn that off. We can cover an optional step of adding a new user, but first we're going to get rid of some crap. .py, our folder we downloaded earlier. We're going to have to right click this, go to properties, permissions, execute, and set that to anyone. So now all we have to do is run this file. Double click, execute terminal, and it worked. I hope. We find out soon. Okay, properties, permissions, yeah. So that worked, and that just basically, rather than doing that for all the files, we just have to do it once. Now, by default, Raspbian comes with quite a lot of bloatware, quite a lot of crap we don't actually need. So what we're going to do is run this, called remove bloat, and that'll free up actually about 1.4 gigs. That's how much bloatware is on this. So run, execute in terminal, and now we wait. And we're going to make this preferences, font a bit bigger. Okay. Make this much bigger. Much bigger, please. Preferences. Font. 16. Okay. And that's just gonna uninstall so much stuff. Give you some idea. Yeah, 1.4 gigs. Alright, that's done. And we're going to open another. Yeah, just double click this. Should open up another one. Okay, apparently all I needed was one click. As you can see, before we cleaned up, we had 9.8 gigs free. And after we done clean up, we have 11.5. That's quite a lot of crap. So we still have Chromium, whatever that is, and some stuff. Now we're just going to update our Pi, make sure we're running the latest version of all the crap we actually do need. Execute in terminal again. And now we wait. If at any point you want to see what these are, no problem. Right click, open text editor, and there you go. You can go in, see what it does, edit it yourself. And this will probably take a little while. If we can just change this size, there we go. Okay, that's done. That's nice. So what we can do now, and we have two options. We can sorry, dizzy. What we could do is create a new user, log in via the new user into the Pi rather than using the Pi account. Benefit of that is significantly harder to guess, or we can just change the password on this. The reason why I'm saying this is because of things on all the time. You don't want to risk any hackers just logging in to your Pi with Pi Raspberry. You just don't want to risk it. It's not likely to happen though. How to change our own password? Quite simple. We can use sudo raspi -config. It's there, we'll use it. And we can change user password. Select yes, enter new password. I'm going to enter sugar. Alright, and it'll ask us again. There we go. Finish. And that'll help a lot. That'll help a nice bit with security. And for most users, that's going to be more than enough. Yeah. More than enough. But we're going to go through an optional step of adding a new user and replacing the Pi account, just to be on the safe side. This is optional, up to you. You don't have to if you don't want to. So now, what we're going to do, here's our commands. So we're going to go sudo add user, and I'm going to call my user testing man. I want to emphasize again, this is optional. If you don't want to do this, it's fine. You can use the Pi. You can use the Pi account, but I do recommend changing the password. This is just something I like to do because I like it. It's a little bit more secure. So, add user testing man. And we're going to enter their passwords. And it's going to ask us their full name. I'm going to go testing man blank. Is information correct? Yes. And now we have a new user called testing man. Now, because the Pi account is so tied into our system, that's why these are here, we're going to have to go edit these. And the question is, what exactly do we edit again? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit rusty, so let's find out. So what we're going to do for step 1, go to this, Pi configuration, auto login as current user, no thanks. Paste. So what we're going to have to go do is, it's a little hard to spot, yeah, exec start, auto login Pi, we can get rid of that. Override, yes, override it, there we go. We don't actually have to do that one. The second one is handled when we did it here, so that's fine. So, rather than restarting right away, what we're going to do is we need to make our testing man, our new user, an admin. And because there's so many different groups we can use, I just decided to make it easier for myself and just make this. So what we're going to use is enter the username of the new user we created. Make it right here between the quotes. Testing man, all lowercase, because it's the user. Save any changes, save. Then we go that. Property, right click, properties, permissions, execute any one, double click, execute in terminal. And it's just going to run through this. And so our new user has been created. The auto login for Pi has been removed, and instead we now have. And now we reboot. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fart there. So now we finally reboot. Exit the VNC server. And we're going to go to properties. And by the way, I did do a quick check. The .local does work on Windows 10. For some reason, it is not working on Windows 7. So, kind of annoying. No, I'm very confused as to why. So now we need to connect again, but this time we're not going to use Pi, we're going to use Testing Man. We're going to use our user we just created. And now it's going to ask us to log in since we don't have auto login turned on. And we can actually log in as Pi if we really wanted to from here, but we don't. Log in. And here we are. You can turn back on auto login if you wanted to. Just go back to the Raspberry Pi config. This will be new to a lot of people who are not using the Pi account. It will ask you for your password a lot. That's a very standard Linuxy thing. So auto login as current user, yes. And now what we're going to do is run our command again run this command again. Copy, paste, enter, and I'm also going to make the font bigger so you can read it, because I'm just so nice. Okay. There we go. So here's our account again, and here's our Pi account. We don't need that, so security, new user. And what we're going to do now is delete the Pi account, as I don't need it anymore. So we're going to remove that for our own safety. Paste, enter. And this might take a little while. Hopefully it didn't just crash. Okay. Something stuttered. 2, 3. Something stuttered, so that was kind of worrying. Warning, Group I has no more members, and if we have a look at home, all we have now is Testing Man. Pi user is gone. And we're ready to rock now as our new member. If you just change the password, you don't. If you just change the password to Pi, obviously don't delete them. Because I don't even think you could if you wanted to. So now we're going to go into. Now, because I have a new user, I have to go set this to run again. Execute in terminal. And it asks us for the password this time. So, yes. And now we finally hit the Red-cogs folder. The folder we've all been waiting for. Now, what we do is text editor, make sure this is the correct one. Yes. This is an edited script. Now, if we take a quick, it uses Python 3. So if we go Python 3, Python 3 version. What's the exact command? There we go. We have 3.5.3, which is a little bit old. We can rock with that. Doesn't really matter. But we're going to use 3.5.4. It's a little bit newer. On the Raspberry Pi, you could technically go up to 3.6, but it's a bit of a pain. So for this, we are going to compile Python, and that is going to take a while. So sit back in and relax. Double click initial setup, execute in terminal. Pop that up there. I'm going to make this big. This is where a pi is going to get hot. Very hot. So it's going to ask us for the number of cores our pi has. If you have a pi 1 or a pi 0, enter the number 1. If you have a pi 2 or a pi 3, enter the number 4. Because I'm on a pi 3, I'm going to enter 4. I have actually done this on a pi 1 and a pi 0. It took ages. Pi 3, not so much. Never tried it on a pi 2. So we're going to enter 4. Click enter. Enter our password. Alright, that finished. Took a little while. I don't remember when it started. I actually didn't pay attention. So now what we're going to do is run this. Execute in terminal. And there we go. My throat is really sore. So now what we have to do is make ourselves a bot. My voice is just gone. It's really annoying. So we're going to go to discordapp.com, more developers, my apps. Then we're going to make an app. And I'm going to call them testing bot 450. And we have an icon. I don't have any icons at hand actually. So no icon. Iconless bot. Actually, we will give him that. Solid red. So now, there's a client ID. And what we have to do is, where's make bot? There it is. Make bot user. Yes to it. Yeah, for that sake, yeah, don't check that. So you need your token, this thing. This is a super secret thing, and I'm not kidding. Do not share it with anybody. It's basically the bot's login information. Do not share it. I'm not gonna bother censoring it because I'm just gonna delete it. Now, as part of the setup, what the bot is going to do is ask you for which role is moderator or which role is admin. So we're just gonna, since this is a freshly made server that I'm gonna join it to, I'm gonna go roles, I'm gonna make a role, admin, admin, and he has admin perms, and he's pink. Then we have a mod, and he has manage roles, and he's amber brown, so that doesn't matter. All that matters is that they're there. So make sure you spell them right, so we're going to put those there. So now we're going to go run. So we're going to just go to insert your bot's token. Right click paste because I have it in my clipboard. So there it is. Click enter. Bot's prefix. So what's the command we're going to use? I'm going to use that. I can't remember what they're called. Are you sure you want to use that as prefix? Yes, I am. Admin role is admin. Admin. And the moderator role is mod. And leave this window open. And it's going to just create itself. Log into Discord. And we're logged into Discord. That's simple. So I'm going to click X on that. Here is our Discord bot. Now, if you're adding local files, it's not too hard to add local files. Let me just get some local files. So, okay, boom, we're back, and this time I have some music. Oh, my voice is still a bit weird, but that's okay. So we're going to transfer files. Fetch files to desktop. Don't quite understand what this means. Yeah, we're going to go desktop. SFAB night. Here is my music. This soundtrack from a box by Crinkles on Bandcamp. Album 19. That's all it is. Use entire folder. This folder cannot be sent. Why? I don't know why. So we're just going to send the files. And they're just going to appear. Are they done? No, they're still going. Going to ask me why I wouldn't just send other ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here. This is how to set up local files. Local music, audio, local tracks, and create new folder. We're going to call it SFAB 19 because I wouldn't take the folder for some bizarre reason. We click OK, and we have it. And we'll drop that in there. And this should not have worked, but it did. Go in, please. There you go. Yeah, that actually should not have worked. It did, though, but it shouldn't have. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, okay. Usually that doesn't work. This time it did. Okay, if you're sending, yeah, okay. I think I know what happened. Okay, if you're sending files directly into the folder I just showed you, the bot folder, data, audio, local tracks. Then you make a folder for whatever album and shit you're adding. Add your files to that. If you're doing that via like, what's it called, FileZilla, you will need to run this. Execute in terminal, and that'll just allow you to edit the contents of that folder without any level of restriction. So as you saw before, that was set to only owner, now it's set to anyone. Anyone can look at it, anyone can change it, anyone can access it. Fine. I'm going to move it out of there someplace I find it a bit easier. I'm just going to plop it on my desktop. We're done there. We need to run the bot, we need to turn it on. And how do we turn it on? We can do this. We can just double click this and see what happens. Double click, should start. Red auto restart. Should probably start launcher, I don't know. Yeah, we should start the launcher. I wasn't sure which because I keep getting confused, sorry. So if you ever want to update the bot, just quickly go launch the launcher, run the update, and we'll just run it there now. Yeah, that was just to find some music. Alright, yeah, that's that done. Go back, and then we're going to run the bot. What that's going to do is log in. Okay, so now we need to add our bot to Discord. And what we have to do is go back to our thing, go to My Apps, go to our bot, and now we need the client ID, copy. And we use a URL that we have in the description. Here it is. And we replace client ID with this, with our actual client ID we copied over. We click OK, should bring us here. And we're going to add it to the tutorial server. By default, it'll come up as do we want it as an admin or not. I'm going to leave it as an admin. I am not a robot. Oh, goody. Verify. As you can see, we have a new role on our server and some glitching with our with our bot name, and we can set its permissions. We're just going to leave it as an admin, and there he is online. So now what we have to do, we'll test him out. Help. And he messages us with all the commands that we can use. So then what we have to do is see if it'll play some music for us. So we'll join a general channel. Did it work? It did. I'm just going to mute myself. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we'll go local list, and that's going to tell us our local files. Local start SFAB 19, and yeah, all the commands are here. As we used FFmpeg, we don't need to dick around with some other stuff. We can just click go. And the bot is playing music. A little bit glitchy because it's on a Raspberry Pi, you know what you expect. Let's look at our best ping was, yeah. That's nice enough. And now we're going to see YouTube video motion. We're going to use this because it's part of copy. We can use it basically. Whatever it's called. Sorry, I'm really tired. And now we've got play, link. Sorry, wrong thing. Play, link. And begin. Jesus. There it goes. It's a bit glitchy. It's a little bit glitchy, but you know, it's a Raspberry Pi. So it'll go. It does recommend that we use this. Now, I haven't found much of a difference between this and FFmpeg. I don't know if I'm supposed to restart it. I don't know. I honestly don't. Just to see if we actually restart it. Wrong thing. We'll restart the bot. Well, the thing's back up and running. We have 4 channels, 2 users, 1 server. Oh, nice. So now we're going to run the. There's our link. We're going to run this again. See if it plays any better. Not really. Actually, it is playing a little bit better. Now, what I recommend as a performance monitor is going htop, and htop is uninstalled by default, so we have to go sudo apt install htop sudo reinstall this. Oh, htop is already on, so we just run htop. This is our performance monitor, and it's a very handy performance monitor. This is how much RAM we're using. We're not using much RAM. Once you take off all the bloatware that comes with Raspbian, we free up so much RAM. There's our CPUs, all 4 of them. There's our percentages. This is not a percentage of total CPU. It's just like the percentage of CPU used. So in this case, because we have 4 cores, it's 400%. It's a weird way of working it, but it makes sense once you get used to it. So we're going to run this again, and we're going to look at our performance. As we can see, suddenly we're using a lot more CPU. We're using about 100% CPU, so we're using about a core, even if this doesn't reflect it. It's not the greatest of bots, but hey, it works. And it has some very, very handy moderation tools. So, unfortunately, that's about it for this video. I'm absolutely exhausted. I hope you found this somewhat useful.